In 1867, one of the most unusual purchase agreements in history took place. The territory of Alaska was purchased by the United States for $7.2 million. So far, this is not the big problem. The point is that just in the first 50 years after the purchase, Americans extracted wealth 100 times greater than the purchase value. What at first became a joke at the time, today is fully respected for its economic dimension and importance. Today, the value of wealth that Alaska produces is surreal and of enormous importance to the economy of the United States and consequently, the whole world. Do you want to know how this happened and what is the importance of this gigantic economy that revolves around Alaska? Stay with me until the end of this video. Welcome to the Swit Economy channel. In the 19th century, Alaska was already a center of international trade of great importance and relevance. In the former capital that is now known as Sitka, Chinese fabrics, tea, and even ice used in the southern United States were traded before the invention of the refrigerator. Ships and factories covered the landscape, and coal and gold were mined. Selling something like that seemed crazy even these days. Russian traders were lured to Alaska by walrus tusks and precious otter skins, obtained by bartering with the natives. These activities were coordinated by the Russian-American Company, CRA, a group of 18th-century Russian traders who owned their own flag and currency. Officially, the date of discovery of Alaska is 1741, when the commander of the Imperial Russian Navy, Vitus Bering, a Dane in the service of the Russian Empire, carefully explored and marked on the map the coast of Alaska and the Aleut Islands. Consequently, this territory became part of the Russian Empire as a continuation of the extension of the Russian frontier to the east. And logically, the territory came to be called Russian America, with some villages that would reach California, Fort Ross, north of San Francisco. After some time, the first Russian settlements appeared in this territory, and Orthodox missionaries actively converted indigenous populations, adherents of paganism, to their faith. The economy of ancient Russian America was based on fishing and trade in sea animals. In 1799, as part of the exploration of Alaska, the Russian-American Company, CRA, was founded, which was granted the monopoly of trade and also the administrative powers of the new territories. This company was also allowed to own its own armed groups and ships. In the second half of the 19th century, the Russian Empire was going through a period of serious financial problems. In addition, there was a climate of growing hostility towards its biggest rival, the British Empire, which was threatening the Russians with losing their Alaskan territory. The British already held the territory of present-day Canada, and the emergence of a possible direct confrontation between the two empires could result in the effective loss of Alaska to the British. To avoid confrontations and territorial losses that would be irrecoverable for the Russian Empire, Alexander II decided that it would be better to sell Alaska to the United States. For this, he sent his ambassador, Baron Edouard de Stoeckl, to start negotiations with the U.S. Secretary of State. As the Emperor and the U.S. representative were friends, negotiations progressed smoothly. However, in March 1867, the Russian Empire signed an agreement to sell its American territories, Alaska and the Aleutian Islands, to the U.S. for the incredible sum of $7.2 million. An example for comparison, the construction of the three-story building of the former New York courthouse, known as Tweed Court, cost U.S. taxpayers about $12 million. But this brought some consequences and doubts, as the purchase of Alaska by the United States was very poorly received by the people of the buyer country. The transaction negotiated by Secretary of State William Henry Seward was considered absurd and came to be referred to as Seward's madness. Even so, the purchase was confirmed and the United States annexed a territory to the northwest of its original area that had approximately 1,600,000 square kilometers. With all the criticism, Alaska officially became another state in the United States when its purchase was ratified by the Senate on April 9, 1867. On this occasion, there were only 2 votes against, despite 37 votes in favor. The sale of Alaska was then the first case of voluntary ceding of acquired territories made by the Russian Empire. Along with the territory, the United States received its real estate, archives, and official and historical documents. A few decades after the U.S. purchase of Alaska, Alaska experienced its gold rush that led more than 100,000 people to move to the region in search of the precious metal. This giant wave of immigrants caused profound changes in the region and began to attract more and more people interested in settling there, along with mining and other sectors such as commerce and even agriculture in the region. And that made the region even more important after the start of the Cold War, when he lived his second migratory wave. Due to its proximity to the former rival Soviet Union, there was fear of an attack by the communists. And to complete the defense of the territory, thousands of soldiers from their families were sent to the region. At the same time, some companies settled in the territory that, due to the mineral wealth and its isolation, were perfect for the installation of the military, nuclear and chemical industries, despite generating wealth, having a strategic position and housing important industries for the country, Alaska. It was until 1959 just a territory. Only in this year did Alaska become a U.S. state, and approximately a decade later immense oil reserves were discovered in the region. From that moment on, everything changed in the area. Oil exploration became the main source of income in the region, reaching its peak in the 1990s. But since then, production has been falling year after year, reaching a minimum during the year of 2020 due to the conditions of exploration and transport of oil that is extracted in the north of the state and transported for more than 1,300 kilometers until it can be shipped. Exploration has a very high cost. And all this is only profitable with a barrel of oil costing more than $60. With the decline in oil production, the state began to lose revenue and record losses every year. However, a measure taken in 1976 when the Alaska Permanent Fund was created allows the state not to accumulate debts. That is, the government was obliged by law to invest at least 25% of the revenues obtained from oil in a sovereign wealth fund. Since that fund has more than $81 billion in assets and its income helps the government to balance the accounts and still erase each citizen an amount every year. In 2008, which was the largest dividend paid, each resident in the state received a check for $2,069. The state still has a lot of riches to be explored, but for environmental reasons these reserves remain untouched and we don't know if they will ever be used. At this moment, an elastic band faces the challenges of changing its economic activities, reducing its dependence on oil and creating other sources of income. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to receive new videos every day from Monday to Sunday. Check out these other 2 videos I recommend from the channel. In one you will understand how Germany left the bankrupt country and became the greatest power in Europe and one of the greatest in the world. In the other video you will understand why China builds thousands of ghost buildings. Thank you so much for watching this far, a big hug and until the next video.